Hello and welcome to today's strength and stretch yoga practice. It'll be about 20 minutes today, and as always, please listen to your body, make modifications, and take breaks as needed. So we're going to start today standing up. We're going to begin with our feet about shoulder width apart, and go ahead and take a moment if you're comfortable and close your eyes. Now you're always welcome to leave them open, but if you feel comfortable closing them, take a moment to close them and notice if your weight shifts forward or backwards. And see if you can adjust your weight so it's right in the center of your foot, evenly distributed between the fronts and the backs of your foot. And once you find that center, imagine pulling the crown of your head up toward the ceiling. Let your lower belly lift, let your shoulders drop. And go ahead and allow your breath, if it's comfortable, to move in and out through your nose. See if you can bring symmetry to your inhales and your exhales. Let's take 2 more breaths. Keeping our weight centered, our inhales and exhales even. Crown of the head lifting up, lower belly lifted, shoulders down. Good. And if your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. We're going to interlace our fingers and lift them straight up above our heads. On an inhale, we're going to, with our shoulders pressing down, we're going to lift up high onto the tips of our toes. And on an exhale, we'll lower, bring your hands down to your head. Inhale to grow tall, and exhale to lower. This is a little bit of a balance, so find a focal spot for your eyes. And don't worry too much if you wobble a little bit. Beginning to warm up our legs, strengthening our calves, warming up our shoulders, and connecting our breath to our movement. Inhaling as we grow tall and exhaling as we come back down. And let's do one more. Good. Go ahead and lift your arms back up, and we're going to stretch our sides. So we'll lean to one side on an exhale, and inhale to go to center, growing tall, and exhaling to lean to the other side. Inhaling to grow tall, and exhaling, alternating sides. Let's do one more on each side. Good. Release your hands and let them fall to the side. We're going to go ahead and do some chair squats now. So for our chair, you can have your feet shoulder width apart. You can have them a little bit wider, maybe mat's width, or you can even bring them together. If you bring them together, bring your big toes together, separate your ankles just enough so that your second toes are pointing forward. So we'll flow with this a few times and then we will hold. So on an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up and sit back like we're sitting in a chair. If you look down, you should see your toes, and if you can't, pull your hips and your knees back and then we'll exhale to stand. So we'll inhale to sit back, exhale to stand. Inhaling, lifting the arms, pulling them back, exhaling to stand. Let's move through about 3 more of these, moving with the breath. And next time you're in chair, we're going to see if we can hold it for about 5 breaths. So pull your shoulders away from your ears, lift your thumbs up toward the ceiling, make sure that you can see your toes, lift your lower belly away from your thighs, and keep breathing. Let's do 2 more breaths. And on your next exhale, go ahead and come to stand. Very good. All right, turn to face the front, and we're going to bring the feet wide apart, about as wide apart as feels comfortable. Could be as wide as your hands are spread apart, or you can narrow your stance a little bit. You're going to turn your toes just slightly inward and start for a moment with your hands on your hips. And like we did at the beginning, we'll pull the crown of the head up, lift the lower belly. And as we begin to move forward, we're going to do a wide-legged forward fold. We're going to lead with the chest, keeping the spine nice and long. Go as far forward as you can without rounding your spine. And when you can't go any further, you can go ahead and round forward and release your hands to the ground. Now, if your hands don't quite reach the ground, you can use blocks, or you can even put your hands on a chair. So with your hands down for stability, go ahead and bring your weight forward so that your toes are just as heavy as your heels, and maybe even a little bit heavier than your heels. Go ahead and shake your head yes and no for a moment, releasing any tension in your neck. And in order to help us move a little bit deeper into this stretch, see if you can lift your thighs up away from your knees, moving toward your hips, and that allows your hamstrings to release a little bit more. Try to take smooth, deep, even breaths, and see if you can allow yourself to soften a little farther into the stretch on each exhale. If you're feeling really stable here and you want to challenge your legs for a little bit more of a strengthening pose, you can go ahead and interlace your hands behind your back and let them fall toward the ground. Try not to let your heels get too heavy though, and that will create a little bit of a strength challenge for your legs to keep you stable, keep you from wobbling, and keep you from sitting back in your heels. But you're also welcome to keep your hands on the ground. Let's take 3 more breaths in this forward fold. Continue to pull those thighs up towards your hips, allowing your hamstrings to release. Good. On your next inhale, come up on your fingertips, allowing your spine to grow long. Go ahead and bend your knees, bring your hands to your hips, and come up to stand. Very good. All right, we're going to move down to the floor now, and we're going to go ahead and go into a plank position. So start on your knees, and we're going to walk the hands several inches forward, and you can either bring your weight forward and keep your knees down, in which case you're welcome to put a blanket or a pillow underneath your knees, or if you want to move into the version with the knees up, you can tuck your toes and lift your knees. And because this is a strengthening challenge today, we are going to do some half push-ups. These are going to be the push-ups where our elbows point to the back so that they're rubbing our sides and not going out like in a traditional push-up. So before we begin the push-ups, make sure your shoulders are over your wrists and feel free to drop your knees to the ground. If you're pregnant, make sure you do go ahead and drop your knees to the ground. All right. On an inhale, we're going to lower halfway down, and exhale, push back up. Inhale to lower halfway down, exhale, push back up. Go ahead and see if you can do up to 5 more of these at the rhythm of your natural breathing. And 1 more. Good. Go ahead and bring your knees wide, bring your toes together, and sit back in child's pose for a moment. You're always welcome to put a block or a pillow underneath your forehead, or to put blankets under or behind your knees. Walk your fingertips forward, lifting your forearms up off of the ground. If this doesn't feel good on your shoulders, you're always welcome to bend your arms or to put them down alongside your knees. Take a couple more breaths here. Good. We're going to push back up into plank, and this time we're going to see if we can hold plank for about 5 breaths. No push-ups this time, just plank. Again, if you're pregnant or you want a modification, please feel free to drop down to your knees and try to keep your shoulders over your wrists. Even though this is a challenging pose, try to keep your breath as smooth, as steady as possible. If your breath gets choppy, you might want to go ahead and lower your knees or take a rest. If you feel yourself begin to shake a little bit, it's okay as long as you feel stable and you don't feel pain. Let's try for 2 more breaths. Good. Go ahead and lift your hips up and back, and we're going to move into a downward facing dog. So press through all 10 of your fingers. Turn your hands ever so slightly outward so that your pointer finger is pointing straight to the short side of your mat. And if you'd like to bend your knees, you're always welcome to do that in downward facing dog. And go ahead and pedal your feet, bending 1 foot at a time, taking turns stretching out your calves. Keep pressing through your hands. Good. You can stop pedaling your feet and bring them either to bent or work them towards straight. And just like in that forward fold, we're going to pull the thighs up toward the hips to release the hamstrings, to maybe pull up and back a little bit further. We're going to take 3 more breaths in downward facing dog. You're always welcome to rest in child's pose. Very good. All right. Go ahead and drop to your knees, and we're going to roll over. And we're going to move into an inclined plane or a reverse table, whichever option you prefer. So we're going to go ahead and bring the fingers so that they're facing your toes, wrists underneath your shoulders. And if you're going to keep your legs bent, you can keep them bent and just go ahead and lift your hips up off the ground, and head can go straight up. Or if you'd like a little bit more of a strengthening challenge, you can straighten your legs and lift your hips straight up. So whether your legs are straight or bent, you're still getting the benefits of the pose. Find the variation that works for you. Either way, lift your chest toward the ceiling and keep your breath flowing. If you can, see if we can hold for 3 more breaths, but take a break if you need to. Good. And go ahead and lower. Very nice. We're going to go ahead and come into a bound angle pose. So bringing the soles of your feet together. Your feet can be as close to your sitting bones or as far away as you like. Whatever feels good to you. You can have your hands behind you, helping your spine grow tall. You can stay there. You can bring your hands together, or you can walk your hands forward. Find the position that works for you and go as far forward as you can with a flat back. And then you can either stay in that flat back, or if it feels all right, you can let your head fall and round forward. You're always welcome to put pillows or blocks underneath your knees to support your knees in this pose. Keep your breaths flowing evenly in and out through your nose. Good. Come back up. And maybe we adjust your feet a little bit if they were pulled close. Maybe bring them away a little bit, or vice versa. Inhale and grow tall through your spine, and exhale and begin to fold forward. Keeping that back as flat as you can. And when you can't keep it flat any further, if you'd like to round forward, you may. Good. Then we'll go ahead and make our way onto a back. Legs can be bent. And we'll go ahead and cross the right leg over the left. You can go ahead and put some gentle pressure on your right inner thigh if you'd like, or if you'd like to move a little bit deeper, you can interlace your hands behind your left leg and pull your left knee in towards your chest while pushing your right knee away from you. Go ahead and flex both of your feet as that protects your knee joint. Try to keep your lower back glued to the ground and continue to breathe. Good. Then go ahead and switch sides. Either keeping that right leg flat on the ground or interlacing behind your right leg, pulling the right leg in and pushing the left away while keeping your lower belly flat on the ground. Good. Go ahead and uncross your legs, and we'll move into a brief Shavasana rest. So if you're pregnant, you can go ahead and roll onto your left side. Otherwise, you can let your knees fall together and bring your feet about as wide as your mat. You can let your hands rest wherever they're comfortable. You can place them on your belly. And to end our practice today, either with your eyes opened or closed, whatever feels good to you, we're going to count 5 inhales and 5 exhales. So when we inhale, we'll count 1, and when we exhale, we'll count 2, and we'll go all the way to 10. And you can go ahead and count at your own breathing rate. And if you've got some extra time today, I invite you to go ahead and repeat that breathing exercise several times, counting on the inhale 1 and the exhale 2, all the way to 10, and then starting over again. If you've got the space to stay here for 5 or 10 minutes today, that would be wonderful. But if not, I know some of us have very busy schedules. You're welcome to go ahead and gently wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes if they were closed, and come up to a comfortable seated position in whatever way is easy for you. And thank you so much for joining me for today's strength and stretch exercise. I look forward to practicing with you again soon. Bye.